नमस्ते बिटिया हमेशा खुश रहो बिटिया Myself JV'n Dr. ASTHA SIKARWAR Assistant Professor Department of Organ of Medicine Faculty of Homeopathic Science JYOTI VIDYAPEETH Women's University Jaipur. Today's topic is logic. The word logic is derived from the Greek adjective logic corresponding to the Greek word logos, which means thought or word, idea, argument, account, reason or principle as the expression of thought. The use of the same word logos to denote both thought and word to emphasize the close relation between thought and its expression in language. Hence, etymologically, logic is the science of thought as expressed in the language. Definition: the branch of philosophy that analyzes inference, reasoned and reasonable judgment, the principles that guide reasoning within a given field or situation, a system of reasoning, the art of reasoning, science of reasoning, the science of thought, the science of the formal laws of thought, the science of the understanding in the pursuit of the truth, use of ability in argument, science of the operation of the understanding that the subservient to the destination of the evidence for the process itself advancing from known truths to unknown and all other intellectual operations insofar as auxiliary to this. Mill. History. Many cultures have employed intricate systems of reasoning and asked questions about logic or propounded logical paradoxes. In India, the Nasadhya Sukta of the Rig Veda contains ontological speculation in terms of various logical divisions that were later recast formally as the four circles of Katusokti: A, not A, A and not A, and not A and not A. Tharka, Vitharka, and Thutharka are different forms of logic and argument. Chinese philosopher Gongsun Long 325-250 BC proposed the paradox: one and one cannot become two since neither becomes two. The first sustained work on the subject of logic which has served was that of Aristotle. Aristotle 384-312 BC can be called as the father of logic. According to Aristotle, logic is the important instrument for acquisition of genuine knowledge. Logic is an elaboration of methods in research of all knowledge and it is called as science of sciences. He was the founder of both deductive and inductive logic. Logic is concerned with thought forms and thinking process to achieve truth. He was the first to conceive systematic treatment of correct inference. His method of logic has been explained in his book Prior Analyticus. History. Lord Francis Bacon (1561–1626 AD) formulated the new system of logic in his book Novum Organum to highlight the importance of inductive logic. Before Lord Bacon's time, logic was used principally as an instrument for argument and disputation. Little or no attention were given to facts. He demolished innumerable false systems and restored logic to its true place as the guide to truth. George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel (1770–1831), one of his major work has been titled as Science of Logic. He emphasized on the part-to-whole relationship. He said any organic whole is more than mere sum of its parts. John Stuart Mill (1806–1873 AD), he succeeded Bacon, emphasizing the practical utility of inductive logic in his book titled Systems of Logic. Types: deductive logic, formal logic, inductive logic, logic of reality or truth, material logic. Other types: informal logic is the study of natural language arguments, the study of fallacies in an especially important branch of informal logic. The dialogues of Plato are a major example of informal logic. Symbolic logic is the study of symbolic abstractions that capture the formal features of logical inference. Symbolic logic is often divided into two branches: propositional logic and predicate logic. Mathematical logic is an extension of symbolic logic into other areas, in particular to the study of model theory, proof theory, set theory, and recursion theory. Deductive logic: reasoning from general to the particular or from cause to effect. A deduction is an argument in which the conclusion follows necessarily from the premises. Aristotle's deductive method is otherwise called as syllogism, which means computation. Every syllogism consists of three parts: major premises, minor premises, conclusion. Example: all men are mortal. All men are mortal. Major premises: John is a man. Minor premises: John is mortal. Conclusion. Syllogism can be continued. The conclusion of one syllogism can be used as the premises for other. Basic principles never require premises. Types of deduction: complete: a record in the conclusion follows obviously from premises. Incomplete: conclusion is not obvious, it requires adequate steps of reasoning between the premises and conclusions. Criticism of syllogism: how to drive a major premises. Defect of system itself: the overestimation of deduction without following deduction. Inductive logic: reasoning from detailed facts to general principles. Search for the cause. The inductive method is logic is the scientific method that proceeds by deduction, that is, by drawing universal conclusion from the particular premises. Inductive logic does on concern itself with facts, with the reality. Its primary purpose is to discovery and the use of truth. The inductive logic is the logic of Bacon, Mill, and Hahnemann. Requirements of inductive logic: soundness: the premises must be true. Consistency, which means that none of the theorems of the system contradict one another. Completeness: the induction must be complete without a break from premises to conclusion. Adequate knowledge on the subject. Steps of inductive logic: first, exact observation; second, correct interpretation of the observed facts with the view to understanding them in relation to each other and to their causes; rational explanation of the facts by referring them to their real cause or law; last, scientific construction, by putting the facts in such coordination that the system reached shall agree with the reality. For example, first, Hahnemann's exact observations of the frequent failures to help sick patients by his method of treatment when being an allopath resulted in honest disappointment and made him quite quit his practice of medicine. While translating Cullen's Mathematica, the exact observation of the While translating Cullen's Mathematica, the exact observation of the truth that the ability of cinchona bark to cure malaria was not the astringent property of it made him to experiment on himself. Second, correct interpretation of the fact from the cinchona experiment that the diseases are cured by the properties of drugs which are capable of producing the similar disease in healthy purpose. Third, rational explanation of the phenomena of similibus curanter, which has hinted at the time of ancient Hindu sagas by Hippocrates, Paracelsus, Stahl. Fourth, scientific construction of the principles evolved from his inductive reasoning. Four methods of induction in search for the cause. First, method of agreement, in which a condition uniformly present is assumed to be probably a cause. Second, method of difference, in which the happening of an event when a condition is present, its failure when a condition is absent, leads to the assumption of that condition as a cause. Third, method of concomitant variation, in which the simultaneous variation in similar the degree of condition and event establishes a causal relation. Fourth, method of reduces or of residual variation, where after subtracting from a phenomena that part due to causes already established, the remainder is held to be due to some other uncertain cause or to the unknown remaining causes. Utility of logic. Logic furnishes scientific knowledge of the principles of correct thinking by the observance of such of which truth is attained, errors detected and avoided. Logic is the science of sciences. Every science must conform to the general law of correct thinking with which logic is concerned. Logic is an intellectual discipline. The study of logic cultivates the power of abstract thinking and trains and develops the reasoning powers. In logic, the homeopathic physician not only can conduct his daily work with ease and facility but also can solve his most difficult and important problems. Logic and its homeopathic application. Introduction. Science is the application of principles of art and life. The principles are deduced from facts by the exercise of reason. The setting is conducted according to fixed laws, which is our business to learn and apply. Learn how to reason scientifically upon the facts of his department is as essential for the homeopathic physician as it is for any other scientific man. Analysis of the organon of Hahnemann as well as of the history of homeopathy and the life of its founder shows clearly that homeopathy is a product of logic, both deduction and induction, applied to the subject of medicine. Logic is essentially a tool for discoveries and advancement and not for argument. Relation between logic and organon. The semantics of organon are simplified as a method of scientific investigation, an instrument of thoughts, a system of logic, literally work. It also means an organ or system, a group of logical requirements for scientific inquiry or demonstration. Any major work of an author which sets down many fundamental principles in that specific topic, and hence logic and organ function as one single unit and are inseparable, and hence homeopathy from logic. Principles. Similibia similus curanter is a product of true logic, originally deductive but confirmed and verified by inductive method of reasoning. Doctrine of drug proving is the first doctrine born in the great intellect of Hahnemann, is a byproduct of both the deductive and inductive logic. Law of simplex is the principle born along with the law of similia and drug proving. It is essentially an inductive method of reasoning. Law of causation, theory of Mayas. The theory of induction is based upon the notion of cause. The real cause is the whole of the antecedents, and we have no right to give the name of the cause to one of them exclusively of others. The most common and the most pernicious medical error is to assume that a disease had a single cause and to direct all efforts and agencies against that. Hahnemann's discovery of Mayas was entirely based on true induction and generalization, but later in the history of homeopathy, this particular doctrine suffered a lot of deduction by the dogmatic followers of Hahnemann and rendered a lot more confusion about Mayas and complicated the scientificity of homeopathy. Theory of drug dynamization. The discovery of dynamization is the combination of both the logic and intuition. Due to his immense mathematical knowledge, he could find a mathemod- methodology for that. The discovery of dynamization is very important not only for the medical field but also in the physical science. Dynamization changed the total lookout of homeopathy as it completely changed from a material science to a dynamic science. Facts known to us are we get symptoms even in the proving of higher potencies. The action of dynamized medicines have been clinically verified by the millions of homeopathic doctors all over the world every day. Facts unknown in the process of dynamization are what are the physical and chemical changes occurring, what happens to a substance in the process of dynamization, why do it end in organism, what is the channel in which the medicine and substance acts, how does the medicine act, through which route does it act. Unless these answers are found, homeopathy will always be an occult science. Law of minima, it's the principle formulated from the experience by Dr. Hahnemann. Probably the concept of minimum dose came up when he was treating a case of cholicodynia in 1799. 4 grains doses of veratrum album twice daily for 2 days were given and the patient had life-threatening aggravation. In 1801, he advised 1 is to 100 of 1 drop of belladonna mother tincture as a dose for cure prevention of scarlet fever. Theory of vital force. In the sixth edition of Organ, it is transformed as vital principle. Its discovery is possibly an attempt of Hahnemann to give a reasonable explanation to an unknown phenomena. It seems to be a dogmatic theory rather than the byproduct of logical science. The consequence of his theory of vital force had a far reaching and most damaging impact on homeopathy and obstructed through further investigations of the drug action in homeopathy. Other related topics of homeopathy: case taking, examination of the patient. Aphorism 83 deals with the demands of the homeopathic physician as freedom from prejudice, sound senses, attention in observing, fidelity in tracing the picture of an disease are nothing but the initial requisites of an inductive method. Diagnosis: the method of disease diagnosis and the patient diagnosis or individualization is an inductive reasoning as the process of correct interpretation on the base of true facts exactly observed. It is a process of generalization erected from the facts obtained during case taking. Totality of symptoms, individualization, prescription. It is a scientific construction in logical sequence following exact observation and correct interpretation of data obtained in case taking. Logic facilitates the comprehension of related totality or picture of the symptoms of the case as a whole. The true totality is more than the mere numerical totality or whole number of symptoms. By definition, the totality of symptoms means all the symptoms of the case which are capable of being logically combined into a harmonious and consistent whole having form, coherency, and individuality. The basis of prescription of homeopathic physician, it's always viewed and interpreted from the standpoint of the prescriber. Individualization has been the burden of the message of every great teacher since Hahnemann. They have reported cases illustrating their own personal method of selecting the remedy by which they have attained marvelous result, but they have not shown the inner working of their minds. The skill of selecting a symptom as characteristic is also in many occasions the subjective skill of an prescriber. Law of care. It is based on exact observations and verification through number of cases from the experience of Hahnemann and other pioneers including Haring. Repertory. The works on repertories are the greatest masterpiece of analysis, comparison, and generalization in our literature. Bonninghausen's repertory is the outcome of the true inductive reasoning, and Kant's repertory is merely a deductive methodology inferred after an inductive work as facts. The prescriptions will be obviously scientific and more reasonable if they are based on an authentic repertorial reference. Modern statistical research studies and logic. The steps which are necessary to carry out a research study includes formulating the research problem, review of the literature, formulation of the hypothesis, decision on the research design, decision on the sample is design, the collection of data, analysis of the data, testing of hypothesis, generalization and interpretation. Research report are nothing but the steps of inductive methodology. This session powered by digital version 2.0 Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University. I hope you are satisfied with my digital session. If you have any query, please mention it in comment box. I will resolve it. Thank you.